Hi, this is a modularization example of something that I created for software engineering immersive that I designed for a company that I used to work for. Now, I took out all the information, obviously, for proprietary reasons, but I did want to show the structure because this was how I ideated the best way to go about modularizing the content. The content as it originally existed uh, was not modularized and also did not have a competency map. And they wanted to change it from an instructor-led training to a blended learning model, which included e-learning modules. And in order to do that, we needed to modularize. So we created a competency map with subject matter experts and based on a junior software engineer. And I took those competencies, divided them up by unit. This represents unit one. I placed them into this sort of column C. Then we took the original content skills and kind of mapped them to each of these competencies roughly. Then went with the subject matter expert and we determined which content of these skills was not necessary for that particular unit to be taught. Those are in red. Then the skills that were technical skills, meaning it was some sort of like coding or technical type situation, versus the conceptual, which is in green. So the technical in orange, the conceptual in green. The conceptual lesson skills were are those conceptual things that did not need to be updated more regularly. They could probably be updated or looked at least once a year or something in that effect, not so much. Whereas the technical definitely needed to be updated more often because of course technology updates constantly. And so that would need to be part of a more iterative continuous improvement sort of situation. So once those skills were sort of categorized, I created some skills tags, particularly for organization purposes, but also for assessment purposes. And this had to do with just managing the content within an LMS. And so, of course, we determined those learning objectives as well. Then I pulled those learning objectives and competencies into this other tab so we could start breaking them down into lesson by lesson or module by module. Um, and then have each of those skills be determined by micro lessons. Those micro lessons could be interchangeable with other immersives that may have taught the same skill, particularly the conceptual ones, because many of the conceptual lessons that we taught were taught in other immersives. And so we only had to redesign or design these micro lessons one time, but could use them across several different courses, which was super important to the modularization efforts. This is also very helpful for mapping out our assessments. In order to determine how to create a diagnostic assessment to give to the students pre-course, this allowed us to determine what skills would be necessary based on those competencies that we mapped out previously. And then we would be able to create all the assessments needed at the end of each unit or at the end of the entire course to give a sort of benchmark as to where students would be throughout the course and at the end of the course. That gives us tons of data on our end, as well as data for students and instructors, which is super important. And that is my modularization design.